You don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate.
Donald Trump is treating the high-stakes questions of war and peace, life and death for millions of people, and nuclear armament like a reality show cliffhanger. It started this morning during this genuinely absurd flagpole stunt where he did a long, loving riff about how great the flagpole is and about how it's tapered and about how the rope is inside the pole. And then it continued a few hours ago in the Oval Office, refusing to commit to anything, teasing his big decision like a season finale as millions of lives hang in the balance. What will Donald Trump unilaterally, singularly do? What does the king want to do? But here's the thing. In many ways, we are already associated with this war. He's already greenlit Israel's war in Iran, with support one way or the other from the U.S. The Wall Street Journal is now reporting, quote, President Trump told senior aides last Tuesday he approved of attack plans for Iran, but was holding off on giving the final order to see if Tehran will abandon its nuclear program. Trump is hoping that threatening to join Israel's strikes on Iran will compel Tehran to meet his demands. And that support, and perhaps even direct involvement in Israel's war, has led to something of a rebellion in the MAGA base. You see, Donald Trump was supposed to be a different kind of Republican. His big surprise political triumph back in 2016, and in some ways continuing today, has been the rebranding of the Republican Party from when it was at its absolute lowest point because of what George W. Bush had done to it. A financial crisis, bailouts, enormous tax cuts for the rich, and perhaps most crucially, a decade of war in the Middle East, including a war in Iraq, based on lies.
As a condition for ending the Persian Gulf War, the Iraqi regime was required to destroy its weapons of mass destruction, to cease all development of such weapons, and to stop all support for terrorist groups. The Iraqi regime has violated all of those obligations. It possesses and produces chemical and biological weapons. It is seeking nuclear weapons.
I believe that Saddam Hussein is giving aid and comfort, training and assistance to al-Qaeda murderers, that he has weapons of mass destruction. He is lying when he says he doesn't, and he will never voluntarily disarm. 500 inspectors, 5,000 inspectors are not going to make him disarm. He is a danger to our country and the world. He has killed his own people, and you're not going to disarm him, but diplomacy is going to take force.
That clip just almost gave me a rage stroke. I haven't seen that one in a while. Those lies and that war defined the Republican Party in some ways for a generation, which is partly why it felt to many within the Republican Party, I mean, the base of the party, like a breath of fresh air when Trump ripped into Jeb Bush, who was trying to rehabilitate his brother's legacy.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake.
Boy, he does seem mentally sharper there, doesn't he? Now, that posture, along with some rhetorical noise against the so-called globalists and, Goldman Sachs and Lloyd Blankfein, created a very successful rebranding. But a decade later, here we are. What has actually changed? George W. Bush's domestic policy was an enormous tax cut for the rich and cuts to the social safety net for everyone else. His foreign policy was reckless wars of choice in the Middle East. While Donald Trump's domestic policy is a huge tax cut for the rich and cuts to the social safety net for everyone else, and his foreign policy is looking a lot like reckless war of choice in the Middle East. In some cases, the exact same people are at it again, lobbying the president directly through his favorite TV shows.
I would like to see this regime fall, but I'm going to leave it up to the president as to what to do and when to do it. But I do know this. If we don't take out their nuclear program now, we'll all regret it. We're very close. Be all in, Mr. President, in helping Israel finish the job.
Honestly, if we ever even got into a conflict with Iran, it would be over within 2 days, if that.
There's a theory, no Middle East wars. And then there's an enemy we've had since 1979. They killed our people directly. They have had blood on our hands since 1979. They've never paid the price for 52 hostages.
I'm a warmonger because I think that these 7th century primitive barbarians with 21st century technology should be removed. An Islamo-Nazi regime with a nuclear warhead, intercontinental missiles that have threatened to assassinate the President of the United States. Gee, and we have morons, fools running around the country. This isn't MAGA. This isn't MAGA. This isn't what I voted for.
By all appearances, those around Hawk seem to be winning the MAGA civil war. New York Times reporting Trump is shaping his foreign policy specifically in response to the dulcet sounds of Mark Levin. But there is a not so small contingent of the MAGA base, a big one, I think generationally, the young folks, that appears to feel genuinely snookered by all this. And I'm not talking about like rhino pushovers, but dyed-in-the-wool MAGA faithful, like disgraced former cable news host and frequent Trump ass-kisser Tucker Carlson. And even Trump's own former top advisor and campaign chairman, Steve Bannon.
I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person. And I am saying this because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. It's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. I knew Bush. I knew George W. Bush. We had, family connections to Bush. I knew Bush. Personally, I still see Bush sometimes. And, of course, he hates me, and he does because I criticized him on Iraq. And that war is the sum total, from a historical perspective, of his administration.
If we get sucked into this war, which inexorably looks like it's going to happen on the combat side, it's going to not just blow up the coalition, it's also going to thwart what we're doing with the most important thing, which is the deportation of the illegal alien invaders that are here.
Yes. Don't start a new war in the Middle East. We have to focus on terrorizing 13 million neighbors of ours. Last night, that MAGA civil war was on full display for all to see in a Tucker Carlson interview with war hawk, podcaster, and occasional Senator Ted Cruz of Texas.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
The dirty little secret of Trumpism and the MAGA movement and the current Republican Party and its trajectory really over the last 20 years is that behind all the rhetoric, when you actually look at what are they doing, right? What are the actual policies? So many of the actual policies are just the same reheated platform that Republicans have been pushing for as long as I've covered politics. It sounds like some folks are finally getting the memo. Tonight, there's an ongoing effort to recruit Republicans to help block Trump from entering Israel's war with Iran. And the man leading that charge joins me next.